So England last night fell to a late defeat against Argentina in the World Cup semi-final. Really disappointing game for numerous reasons. A lot to get into with the results. So let's just jump straight into it. A lot been made of the substitutions that Thomas Tuchel made. England before their goal looked really fine. There was no problems there with the Argentinians. There was, England, really contained them really well, and they actually produced, enough to get themselves in the lead. So Anthony Gordon opens the scoring for England, and then we're left with, again, something we're just so used to seeing as England fans. And it's so disappointing to be sat here just saying the same things over and over again. Substitutions weren't good tactically. After the goal was just awful. It was just so predictable, yet it shouldn't have been. It didn't have to be that way. Gareth Southgate, of course, comes under massive scrutiny from pundits, fans, anyone associated with England, watching England in the European Championship final against Italy, against Spain, and also against Croatia in 2018, for not having the right idea in the right moment, for not being that elite level coach to just get us over the line, make the right substitutions, make the right tactical adjustments at the right time. And he got pelters for not being able to do that. And that's the main reason really why he left. So Thomas Tuchel comes in to change that, and he certainly was saying that was his intention. He wanted to play a Premier League style of football, high pressing, high energy, powerful players, and he said that he'd do that all tournament, especially in that opening game against Croatia, where at half-time he really got into those players' heads and said, if we go out, then we go out playing our brand of football and our style of football, and we do it by being brave. What we saw last night was a complete opposite of that. That first goal goes in, and nothing happened positively for England after that. And that's the exact thing that we didn't want to happen again. And we're sick of saying it and sick of seeing it. So when are people going to learn that that's not the way to go about things? Mark Gay touched upon it in his post-match interview about going for the second goal and really, closing the game out, because England had the potential to do that. There's just no reason why they sat back as soon as that goal went in. We've seen them do it against Mexico. They went down to 10 men, so it was probably necessary. Norway, again, we sat back. We brought the extra defender on. Norway and Mexico do not possess the same quality as Argentina. You don't beat Argentina by sitting 5 people at the back and just leaving Lionel Messi, the best player to ever play football, 20 yards of space for 20 minutes of the game. You can't do that. And I'm so surprised that Thomas Tuchel did what he did yesterday, because he is an elite level manager. He's got the credentials to prove it. He's won trophies. Yet yesterday he froze. I think he just froze, and I think he wasn't helped at all by the substitutions that he made or the tactical decisions that came with that. Anthony Barry at half-time, England's assistant coach, was saying that England couldn't come into this game with an inferiority complex, and in the first 25 minutes up until the water break they proved that. They went toe-to-toe with Argentina and they looked fine. Argentina looked like they were struggling themselves. They were on the back foot. They couldn't work out how to get into the game. They couldn't work out how to break England down. So why, when England scored, do we just revert back to being the inferior side? And again, that is what Thomas Tuchel was brought in to stop, to change. And we've just witnessed the same thing happen again. And that's the only real talking point of the game yesterday, because on paper, England and Argentina are good sides. England, I'd probably say, footballing-wise, are a better side than Argentina. And England only lose yesterday's game on a mentality or a technical decision, and unfortunately, I think they've been really let down there by Thomas Tuchel. Obviously, I know I'm just repeating things that have already been said, but the fact that everyone's saying them kind of proves a point that this is so easy to see and so unacceptable as something we have to just accept as England fans, as watching, you know, this team that's given so much. You know, there's been no question about their desire, their like real yearning to progress this England side and to win something. But they've just been let down in the most important pivotal moment, and that has to just come down to the management and the way that they brought Ezri Konsa on for Anthony Gordon. If we're being positive, we're bringing Marcus Rashford on that left-hand side, and you know, we're saying, well, we can still hit you on the break, we've still got pace in that wide areas, but you've gone Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane up top with a flat three in midfield behind them, and then a flat back five. Messi's just going to sit in front of the wing back, away from the left centre mid, and just sit in that space, and we saw him do that, and he just completely ran the game, 2 assists. Listen, the Argentinians had, you know, they do the credit, you know, the really experienced side. They knew exactly what they needed to do. That first goal goes in, you know exactly straight away that they're going to get the second. England couldn't deal with it, but it was just such a negative end to what's been, you know, a really enjoyable tournament so far. So we're just going to have to reevaluate again and just work out why that decision was made. I don't think Thomas Tuchel will make that same decision again. If he says he's got no regrets over how the game was played and he thinks England played well. No, I don't believe for 1 second that he actually truly believes that and endorses what he's saying there. He's a top level elite manager, and you know, we've seen him dig into these players when he wasn't necessarily happy with the performance. He won't be happy with yesterday's result, and I think he will be fully aware that it was his decisions that led to that final result there. So why did those substitutes make such an impact on the game? Well, if you're looking from the player's perspective, if you go 1-0 up against a difficult side, and you look over to the touchline and you see a defender coming on for the goal scorer, automatically you just go within yourself and you think, okay, well, we're going to defend now. Whether you shape up to from that point onwards or not, your mentality is that you are defending what you've got, and you're defending it by sitting back with 5 players in defence, 3 in front of them, and then Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham up front. That's such a negative mindset to have. All you need to do is look at Spain and France, the game the day before, England, Argentina, and you look at the way that Spain get their goal and then they control the game completely and utterly, did not let France get a look in. Granted, Spain are, you know, a little bit better on the ball than England. Probably not a little bit, quite a lot better on the ball than England. You've got a player like Rodri who can just sit and completely dictate, any game he chooses to. But it's more about the mentality and the tactical approach of Spain that allows them to do that. They get the goal and they say, right, we're going to have that ball now and you're not going to touch it, and we're going to really put our, foot on the throat of France, and we're going to completely dictate how this game goes. And we're going to get that second goal later on, and that is it. That's the game done and dusted. And you could feel that as soon as Spain scored. You could see that was their moment, and then to just completely control everything from that moment onwards. So when England score against Argentina, the complete opposite happens, and you make that defensive substitution, and whether you like it or not, the players are going to look at that and think, well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to control the game now. We're just going to sit deep and defend what we've got. And again, I fear I am repeating myself here a little bit, but you can't do that against Argentina. You can't just sit back and let them have the ball, because this is an experienced side with elite quality. They will break you down. And to be honest, Argentina hit the post twice. So it could have been a lot worse for England, and a lot earlier on as well. They were very lucky to last as long as they did in the game. But there's almost like a collective groan, across the country when that sub was made. I'm a big advocate for Dan Burn, what he did in the last few games. I thought, he was an absolute monster at the back for England in the in the Mexico and Norway games. But I said before this Argentina game kicked off, Argentina aren't just going to resort to lumping the ball in the box with 20 minutes to go. That's not how they've ever played football, nor will they ever play football like that, because they don't need to. They've got quality, in wide areas. They've got quality through the middle, and they don't have a big target man striker who they're just going to lump the ball to. That was always going to be the case, and I'm just shocked that Tuchel came to the decision that would be the sensible answer to this. To the problem that we created ourselves. It wasn't even an issue before the subs were made. So that's just disappointing. It's just so tiring to just be on the receiving end of. But yeah, I think that's just an indictment of where England are at, and it doesn't need to be that case at all. I think the players were on side with the momentum. They were all feeling they could really get something from this. We've got two players in Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham who can carry us through the difficult moments of the game. Anthony Gordon pipes up with a goal yesterday. So you've got a group of players who are willing to go out there and play the way that you've said you wanted to play, but you've just completely backtracked. And that substitution just shows Tuchel has such little faith in the players that he has available to him. He doesn't trust the players on the pitch to take control of the game and to just really step on the throats of the Argentinians and get the second goal like Spain did against France. That substitution just changes the dynamic, the mentality, even the tactical element. Everything changes for no good reason. And as soon as that happens, exactly, the script's written. And unfortunately, everyone, I think, who watches football knows that was always going to be the case. Because Argentina, much too wily, much too cunning, far too technically gifted, far too intelligent, experienced to let a couple of centre-backs come on and completely disrupt how they play football. So what does this mean then for England going forwards? Thomas Tuchel has said that he'll stay on for the remainder of his contract, which will take him to Euro 2028. Of course, it's going to be a co-hosted home tournament. As I say, I don't think he'll want to be making those decisions again. I don't think he will make such a defensive tactical change after going 1-0 up in a game like that, if we even get the opportunity to have another game like that. I think we talk about the inferiority complex of England and how they have at every opportunity just turned into the complete inferior team against challenging opposition. And I don't think that will change until England get a positive result against one of the so-called big international sides. We lost to Italy, we lost to Croatia, we lost to Spain, obviously now Argentina as well. The only game in which I feel like England beat a side who, you know, maybe they weren't expected to beat was Germany. But, you know, the Germans aren't the side they used to be, and they've struggled, you know, in the last 10, 15 years or so since they won the World Cup in 2014. So when you look at these England sides and they go up against these other top sides, they always seem to just crumble. And that's the most worrying thing, because we've proved that we're a good side. We know we've got world-class players there at our disposal. So how do we go about changing the mentality, changing the mindset, so we can actually, you know, crack on when we get one up on one of the teams? How do we really progress? Obviously that's what Tuchel's supposed to do with his backroom staff, and yet again, have they seen something that in the players that they just don't trust them to be the side that takes the initiative? I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to deal with the fact that England will never do anything. But it's a shame. It's a shame, because honestly, this was an opportunity, and it was an opportunity to beat a team who are considered, you know, one of the world's best, and really put a marker down and really prove to us and the players themselves that they belong at the top of football. And I feel like they've just been let down there today. So yeah, back to the drawing board. And we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for England and Thomas Tuchel. Thank you very much for watching. It was a bit more of a rant than an analysis or tactical deep dive, but yeah, a lot to get off the chest. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.